The recording is on, and this is March 15th, 2021. Welcome to the Greater Sarasota Coaches Alliance. Before we get to our guest, Gail Kondrick, why don't we just do a very, very quick round of introductions? We have some new people with us today. Just a sentence or two about who you are, what you do, why you're here, anything like that. And would anyone like to start?
Ed Mazzaferro. I do coaching and consulting for specialty food companies, and I pay the bills for the Greater Sarasota Coaches Alliance.
Yes, we trust and rely on her for many, many years. Okay, I'm Leslie Austin. I'm primarily an executive coach, though I do a lot of personal coaching as well. And my nickname and brand for many years was the Lion Tamer, and I deal with helping people, very difficult people, especially narcissists, be less difficult, and help those people who have to deal with them live happier lives and manage them better. Anyone else?
I'm Phyllis Muffsen. I'm a career coach. I primarily work with people who are confused about their direction. And I'm both a consultant, life coach, and RIM practitioner. So I work on the strategic and the transformational side.
Great.
Hi, I'm Chris Hanifin, a psychotherapist, career coach, going more towards retirement right now, really reconsidering. And everybody's safe with COVID. Cases are still going around right here.
Yeah,
and there's deaths of a 50-year-old, spinal taps on 18-year-olds because they've been so sick. So please be careful.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Nina?
Hi, my name is Nina Schmidt. I'm an instructor of finance and real estate at USF. And I help my students who are not only confused about life, but also about finance, their finances in general.
Okay. Joan, how about you?
I moved to Sarasota about 3 years ago, joined Greater Sarasota Coaching Alliance, and came from Connecticut, New York area after 35 years in the outplacement business, and most recently in the last 5 years got certified as a retirement options coach. So I work for people who want to keep doing something meaningful, and usually includes work after they go through the so-called retirement, which is an outdated word, I think.
Thank you. Mona?
Yes, I'm Mona Baker, and I am a movement therapist, and I work with all different kinds of people. I work with dancers, elite dancers who are struggling with pain and worried about their career ending, and to help them with that. I also work at the clinic for holistic care clinic, and I look just regular people and help them reduce their pain. So I love being here. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie, are you able to talk? I don't know if she's there. Okay. So we have Patty. Welcome. Let's see.
We can't hear you, Patty. I think you're muted.
She's trying to figure out how to unmute herself. Let me see if I can do that.
The bottom on the left to unmute.
Okay. I think I have unmuted you.
She's still muted.
No,
Hi,
okay.
Patty.
All right, Patty, we'll come back to you when you figure out how to unmute yourself, okay? And we hope you will. Valerie?
Hi, I'm sorry. I was having an unstable internet connection. So what are we doing now? Just introduce.
Just a very, very brief hi and intro. Just who are you and welcome.
Okay. Hi, I'm Valerie Chalet, and I am a life coach, specifically working with professional women who want to pivot professionally and need help reducing stress around money and finding the financial freedoms and also the other freedoms they need to pivot professionally.
Okay, and are you local, Sarasota area?
I am, yes, North Sarasota.
Great, wonderful. Thank you. I see Patty's getting some help. On the lower left of your screen, there should be a little microphone with a red line across it. If you tap that, it should unmute you. And while you're figuring that out, we'll go to Anel.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Anel, and I'm sort of a Gail groupie, and have become that during this past year. I am retired, and I really appreciate Joan's sense of maybe proposing a different term for that, because it's really sort of transitions. I've become very, very involved with Labyrinth work and with the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation during this time. I'm not a coach, but I really appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Patty, we've lost your picture, so what you might want to do on the bottom of your screen is a little thing that says chat. If you press that, maybe you can just write a sentence or two introducing yourself, and while we move on until you come back. And so we have Robin, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Very, very, very brief little intros.
Sure. Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I heard somebody just say that she was a Gail groupie, and I'm a Gail groupie too. So that's why I'm here.
And you're also a wonderful coach and teacher of positive psychology.
Great.
Yes. Okay. I'm your agent. What can I say? All right. I think what we'll do is we'll just go right into Gail's presentation. I'm going to put you, please mute yourselves, everybody, while Gail is talking. And I'm going to go to speaker view. So we see, whoops, I see Robin. I'm trying to find out. Robin, can you mute yourself? Because you're, there we go. Let me try the view again. Let's see if we go to Gail. I'm not sure why we had, Gail, can you speak?
Of course, yes.
Okay, there you are. Now we have Gail as our.
Okay, good. Maybe you just needed to hear me.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it holds the last person who spoke.
Okay,
On the
all
screen.
right.
So welcome, Gail. I'm so happy you're with us today.
Thank
And I'm just going to turn it over to you. You tell us what you have in mind for us, and let it rip. We're ready.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm Gail Kondrick. I've been a member of this organization for probably 10 years, and I have enjoyed all of it. I'm a soul coach with Carolyn Mace. I'm a Labyrinth facilitator, and I also am an author of a book called Walking the Grove, and 3 or 4 online courses that originated in this past year. So I was invited by Leslie to come, and she said, "You want to read from your book? What would you like to do?" And so I'm going to do some of all of that. Who are you currently seeing as your speaker view, Leslie?
I am seeing you, and I have a little bit of, we have everybody else in a little gallery view across the top.
Great. Okay.
Are you seeing me?
I'm seeing you. Yes.
Okay. I think it's weird. I think what Zoom does is it holds the last person who spoke. Your screen. So do you prefer, would you be more comfortable if I went back to this view?
Which view?
Just everybody?
No, actually, yes, during the exercises, but not at this point.
Okay, so we'll go back to speaker view.
Good.
Great.
Yeah. So thanks, Leslie. So what I thought that I would do today is to give you some information about really cultivating the art of observation for yourself. And that is what happened for me and how I developed my book, which is called Walking the Grove. And so I'm just going to start with reading you a little bit so you can get a sense of where we're going and the why of where we're doing it. So this book actually came out of a personal journal that I started, and I started it in 2013, and it was published in the fall of 2019. So obviously it stayed around for a while, germinating and taking different forms while I was teaching writing courses and learning more about nature myself. And so I think one of the first questions is why is this important? So let me just read from the prologue, okay? The crucial key for me, it turned out, was a simple act of getting myself up and out of the house early in the morning to walk the grove. Though simple, this presented a new and different kind of challenge for me. Having always been a city person, I was and am an unlikely explorer of the woods. I never hiked. I've never been an outdoor or athletic person. I love the comforts of civilization. I adore beautiful fabrics and clothing and home furnishings and the comfort of air conditioning in the heat of Florida. So exploring the paths of a mangrove forest while walking barefoot and sweeping away spider webs from my face and palmetto bugs from my hair was not something that I could have anticipated as key to my spiritual growth. But it was during these almost daily walks that I learned to see beneath the surface of the waves, just as I would learn to see beneath the seemingly solid surface of my life. And as my awareness expanded, I looked forward to visiting the grove and to receiving my daily lessons. I was also learning how to slow down, to observe, to breathe, and to see the world with new eyes. And it all began with venturing out into a powerful tropical storm. So I'm an unlikely nature person. I must say, I am. I make that clear in the book. And so in many ways, my going out on these daily walks to the beach was the same way I would go out to the beach. I did it barefoot. I had on a swimsuit and a sarong. And that idea of the palmetto bug barrette is real. I don't have a photo of it, but I assure you I have experienced it. I learned fairly quickly to wear sunglasses so that the spider webs did not get in my face and hair and hats and other things. But I started out as a beach walker, and that's what I did. This question of slowing down and breathing for observation is critical to being connected with nature in general. And it's a task that all of my life I was never encouraged to do unless I was in perhaps a meditation class or course, but I didn't take it with me out into the world. I may practice it before I did a presentation or as a morning exercise, but that was it. Then it was over. And so the idea of this as a lifestyle practice was very different from me. When I started the journal, I didn't know that it was going to become a book, as I mentioned, or even a public book. And there's a big difference between writing something for yourself and then formulating it to share with other people. I mean, there are some things that you say or you don't say. And so I felt very free when I was doing this writing, since I didn't think that anyone else would ever see it. But what suddenly happened for me, and it really did happen pretty fast, was that what I discovered was that in order for me to be in touch with the natural world, I had to do those things. I did have to slow down. I did have to expand my awareness and my consciousness. I did have to practice what I now call the art of observation. And I had to do that so that nature would trust me. Nature would trust me. This is a big deal. And when I'm teaching people, I talk about building a relationship muscle, the same way you would with any friendship. Any friendship. There's a repetitiveness. It is almost a need for that trust to happen. When that relationship muscle was getting developed, I was doing things that were, might have seemed a little odd to a lot of people. And they sure seemed pretty odd to me. But by listening to them, by listening to my intuition, I was able to make those associations. I've been teaching writing courses with Selby Gardens for over 10 years now, and they're writing retreat days. People come in, they go out. We're there from 10 to 3, not recently, but in the past. And one of the things I discovered during that time was that this building of the relationship muscle could take place pretty quickly with guidance. In that observation and slowing down was just simply something that we do not encourage as a goal in our professional lives in the same way that it's necessary to do this. And it started out as a way for people to be able to observe and to write about what they were seeing. They were coming to me for a writing retreat. But what happened was that after these courses and getting feedback on these courses, what I discovered was that what people were discovering in the courses, and we have 1 or 2 on the call, is that these connections they were making were considerably deeper than how to write a good paragraph. It was very different. These observations were soul observations. They were going deeper into themselves to express. So the process is worth it. The process is worth it. And if you are someone who wants to go deeper, it is. and wherever you are, it is. And you already know how to do it. It's just that you haven't been encouraged to do it. And I think that's the big ticket. So I wrote an article on the last GSCA newsletter. Can we have a little show of hands? How many of you have been able to see that article? I'm not sure if you're not a GSCA member, if you haven't seen it. Let me just switch to gallery view for a minute so I can see who's got their hand up. Who's read the article? Okay, all right. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips then right from the article, and think for yourself about how this might apply to you. So I call it going out to go in. So I'm going outside to go inside.
Gail, I may be wrong, but I think that the article may be available on the website on the notice.
Good. And if
I'm
it
not
is,
sure, but
anyone who would
there.
like a copy of it, just email me. It's my name at gmail.com, and I'll be happy to send it to you if you don't find it easily. Okay. So going outside to go in. So what does that mean? Well, it means you start by slowing down, by breathing, by looking around, and you can be in one place. During this past year, there were many people who were in different climates and time zones and who were or were not able to go outside. There was a participant from London, and she was showing us London in the spring, which was just glorious. And she was showing it to us from what she could see from her window. One of the great practices is to take a look at what is in your immediate surroundings, And by that, I mean, like right now, take a look at what's surrounding where you are sitting. You may be able to see outside, but just take a look at your desk for a minute, or wherever your computer is, and just type in a couple of things of what you notice and how they make you feel. Do you feel comfortable with what's around you? Do you feel agitated? Do you feel inspired? What do you feel when you look at what is immediately around you? And take a look at it from the perspective of slowing down. So I'm going to take a breath, I'm going to exhale, I'm going to look around, and I'm going to see, what do I notice first? Take a minute or two to do that. And then if there is anything that's irritating you or annoying you, I invite you to shift it. Put it somewhere else, rearrange it, make it look more beautiful. Okay, Valerie's beautiful, comfortable, inspired, and creative. Thank you. Leslie, comfortable but want to organize. Yeah, like the seat, the lights coming in from the windows. Great. I feel overwhelmed by the clutter. Absolutely, got it. I feel blessed and lucky. I'm at the husband's desk when he's doing taxes. That's not relaxing. Absolutely. Too much clutter. So when we go into this idea of what can I observe that makes me feel better, even right around me on my desk, we have some control of that. If you're in a shared workspace, what I usually do is to invite people to take a tray of some kind of the things that make them feel better, put it on the tray, and when they come into the space, they put out their stuff. And then when they leave, they let it go. So what would it be like if you could, let me take a look at this, too much clutter. We got a lot of clutter going on, and I have a lot of clutter going on too. Now, if I were to take this awareness of what makes me feel, what senses, what makes me feel most comfortable, and I took it for a walk or just looked out the window, how would that shift my emotions? How would it shift? These kinds of practices are what I call going out to go in. Some people were only able to, or are only able to look out the window. They're still in a lockdown state, whether it's due to weather or disease. And that as a first step is enough. Suddenly, if you're looking out the window at the same view, you can begin to go deeper. Just as I was saying, going into the surface, suddenly, if I look at it at 10 a.m., the light on the leaves is doing this. The bird is coming in. There's nothing seemingly interesting going on. And yet, when I'm connecting with nature, there is always life under the surface. And so things start becoming metaphor. What is it that I'm looking at that inspires me? How am I going to take this artistic leap of faith? I'm going to write it down in my own journal. Maybe I'll share it with people sometime. When I was offering this as a writing course, one of the participants on the first or second week said, well, I've walked around my block as you suggested, that's step 2. I've walked around my block as you've suggested, and you really want me to keep walking around my block? Yes, I do. Why? Because it's the same relationship muscle and the observation muscle. If I can observe nature, and if I can sense the shifts and the shifts in me, and whether I choose to write about it or be inspired by it, I can then know a little more about me and what makes me comfortable and uncomfortable. So for me, it became so important to go out on these daily walks. It was a commitment. I made a commitment. I'm going to do this. And for almost 2.5 months, which is the length of time in the book, I went out pretty much every day, about the same time, and did this same walk. And as I did it, I was approaching a destination that in the book I call the Sacred Grove. Other people might be walking by me doing their power walk for the morning. Nothing wrong with that. They weren't having the same experience that I was, even though we were in the same place. They were choosing a power walk experience. I have taken that walk when I was having a kind of mystical out-of-body experience walking in this space, and there was somebody on a parallel path, and I could hear them talking on their cell phone negotiating a real estate transaction. We were in the same place. Different choices, different choices. So I think it's all out there for you, and I invite you to see what you would like to see. I have a suggestion for you on how to make this happen, and it is the consistency, and it is the relationship muscle, and then you choose what you want to do with it. For me, it became a mystical, philosophical journal. I'm going to read you another passage and then look for some feedback, and we'll do some more exercises. Let's see. Okay. I've decided, this is from August 3rd. I've decided to stay home and not travel to a planned seminar, even though I'd love to see my colleagues and my teacher. I've made a conscious decision that was difficult. It's time to stay here and learn from the ocean and the grove, not my teachers from the past. At the beach, the surf is forcefully slamming into the seawalls, flinging kelp and debris onto the sand. White and gray clouds have gathered as the first drops of rain hit the tip of my nose. It is a lovely soft rain. As I stand in the sun with the rain falling on me, I remove my long white shirt so that I can feel the wetness on my skin. The rain awakens me as it falls. Today it's soft, not painful or threatening. And there is so much beauty. A rainbow arcs over the ocean, extending between the white clouds and the sun on the left to the dark rain clouds on the right. I absorb vibrant colors of the sky, the sound of the waves, the feel of the drops on my bare skin. This is being alive. This is why I'm here. This is the beauty of slowing my life down. Gradually, the rainbow fades as the dark clouds cover half of the arc, leaving one side sunny and colorful, a reminder of what is possible. I am content. As I think about my life, I realize that it's not about the pursuit of happiness, but rather about my pursuit of contentment. Sometimes that includes happiness, but happiness these days takes different forms than it did in years past. And yes, I am home. I am content. I have done a lot of writing over the years, but not this kind of writing. And when it came time for me to say, after writing this in 2013, putting it away for a couple of years, the way it became a book is that in 2018, I think it was Irma was coming, a big storm was coming, a very big hurricane was coming. And Longboat Key was under evacuation. We were expecting a 10-foot wave surge, which was going to wipe everybody out. We did not get it, thank goodness. But as I packed my car to go, it surprised me what I thought was precious and what I didn't want to live without. And that journal, which was handwritten, came with me. In fact, most of my journals came with me. I filled my car with my journals. They were my memories I could not replace. I couldn't buy those things. And I traveled north to Virginia, and a friend of mine was away for a month, and I sat in her kitchen and transcribed the journal into a document. Contacted a publisher, and I said, have I got something here? And she said, yes, you do. So this is about a couple of things. That all of us can go deeper. I think all of us can be inspired by nature. It's free. It's available. And finding out, connecting dots in a new and different way. Yeah. So I'm going to invite your comments or questions in the chat and see how you're doing. And from that, we might do a final exercise. Leslie, I've kind of lost track of time, which is usually what happens when I start speaking. So, okay.
You're doing just fine. You've got plenty of time.
Good, wonderful. Okay, so back to my request. I would like to hear your reaction to your relationship with nature. What do you say your current relationship with nature is? Just type it around.
Do you prefer we write it in the chat, or do you want people to just tell you?
Oh, you can tell me if you like. Either way. Either way.
If you want to just tell Gail, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, you can do that.
I was going to say, I'm much more aware of being in nature all the time since I moved to Florida, for which I'm very grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even when I'm not able to go out and about a lot, it's like I'm looking at a tree right in front of my window. Yeah. I'm looking at the sunlight while I'm talking with you. And we're on the edge of a golf course, which is quite beautiful. And it's just a very integral part of my daily life, and it's very calming.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm seeing, these are some of the things I'm looking at. I'm looking at the chat. Pretty to look at through the window. I'm very connected on purpose. These are different people. I have an affinity with water. Me too. Me too, me too, me too. Nature is my guide and my salvation. Yes. It's very grounding. Yes, important. Makes me feel alive. It's precious when I have the time to be in nature, when I have the time to be in nature. I want to address the time issue for just a moment in that what happens or what can happen is that your body, your immune response, your consciousness, your awareness, when you have this connection, isn't going to take the same time it takes when you're building the relationship. Through your own imagination, you can get there. You can just get there. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I have a passage in the book of how that happened for me and how something sacred and symbolic actually came to my front door. So, and stayed there. So just trust that when you have a relationship, you have a relationship. Okay, grounding, absolutely grounding. I've already mentioned that one. You build the neural pathways through the new habits. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Right. Yeah. Some people enjoy taking a camera with them and taking photographs. That's a wonderful reminder when you can't go out personally of what the environment was like. And you can find that same or find a connection that way. You can also find a connection through whatever practices you enjoy. Some people like to do watercolors or drawings or other things. The slowing down is the key, and to really give yourself a sense of allowing yourself to wait for what is going to happen and to trust that there's a lot going on, a lot going on. So I live under the embracing love of many oak trees. Oh, how wonderful, that I completely enjoy. Other than that, I just don't make the time I would like to be. Okay, so yeah, so enjoy those oak trees and touch them and sit under them. You know, while I was doing this, most of you know me as a pretty formal person, and I am a pretty formal person. There were times when I felt intuitively that it was important for me to do something that normally I would have said, oh my God, I hope nobody else sees me doing this. And that included dancing with dragonflies. It included me touching those trees and the leaves. It included me leaving that palmetto bug in my hair, and other types of things like that. So just trust the intuitive responses that you're getting. Taking photographs is wonderful, and as I said, you can bring those in. We also do collages in some of the writing workshops that I do. All right, so let's take a moment. And how many of you can see outside from where you are? Okay, quite a few of you can see outside. Okay, so let's go through this practice, and I invite you to just let go of your mental judgment and invite neutrality into what you're doing. And take a couple of deep breaths. You can close your eyes if you want. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. Taking a look outside now. We've done inside. Let's take a look outside. And if you have pencil and paper, or if you want to use the chat, write down 2 or 3 things that immediately catch your attention. Now, taking another look at the same scene, add sensory awareness into what you have just described. Feel, see, hear, taste, touch. Use your imagination. First 5 senses. Created by Aristotle, by the way. They've been around a long time. Now, as you bring in these senses and you notice things like there's very little wind, you're getting closer into your observation. Now, looking at the same scene, I'm going to invite you to bring in the 6th and the 7th sense. The 6th sense is your intuitive sense, and the 7th sense is your feeling and emotion capacity. looking at the same thing. Sometimes what you notice is what you don't hear or see. And I see some of you commenting on that. Yeah. Yeah. So when you reflect on the first part of the exercise of reporting and adding 5 senses and then adding 2 more, notice how maybe your awareness shifted and changed. Certainly the words are changing. And you can read what other people are experiencing. If you are feeling the sense of overwhelm on some of this, it's not that you have, well, I don't want to interpret that, the work to do as personal work. It may be what you mean is you want to get outside and clean up. But if you want to clean up on the inside, let's go there, if that's what you're saying. It's just simply an expression. It's not a right or wrong, it's an expression. And it gives you an invitation to go deeper. It's that invitation to go deeper through nature that we can carry into other parts of our lives, whether we're writing or whether we are looking for what makes me happy or what makes me content, and how those things change and shift as life goes on. Yeah. Right. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification, Stephanie. And so when you have this opportunity, it didn't take us very long, did it? I don't think it took us more than about 2 minutes to go through the entire steps. So what's on the surface, that's what I see first. I'm going to add sensory awareness to it, level 2. Level 3, intuition, feelings and emotions. And if you keep going, you can keep going. This is an ever blooming flower of observation and revelation. Observation and revelation. I think for me, the idea that even though in the past year, I was in stop, the world was not in stop, nature wasn't in stop, it wasn't stopping. Life was continuing. And so there was quite a comfort, I think, in that. Comfort in that. That connection was very comforting. Good. So questions or comments? Well, open it up, Leslie.
Okay, anybody have a question or comment? Just unmute yourself. I was just going to be a smart aleck and say, this past year, I didn't actually feel that I was stopped. I felt I was different. And I had to learn an alternative way of being and find some way of being okay with it as much as I could.
Yeah.
And obviously, as the year went on, it got better and a little bit easier. But it's, I think it's been a confront for so many people to be so, have to change our lives so much from external circumstances. It's not a choice many of us would have made, except those people who go meditate in caves for 6 months.
I agree. I agree.
Anyone? I'm going to go back to gallery view if that's okay with you. So I can
Yes,
see
absolutely.
people. Great. Okay. I saw a hand go up.
Mona had her hand up. I think
Mona and Nina
had her
and
hand up.
Valerie.
Those are the
Great.
three. Valerie, maybe, I'm not sure.
Great. So Mona, Nina, then Valerie.
So Gail, from your exercise and such is wonderful. I feel so much more expansive.
Oh.
I feel three-dimensional. You know, I pivoted with COVID and everything, and I spent a lot more time online and did my business online. And of course, online, it's the spaceless, weightless, timeless, and it doesn't have any of that. And I was excited to do it, but I didn't realize how flattened myself I've been made. But thank you. It just brought such a beautiful depth and height and width and everything. I feel so much freer inside. And so, and my work, of course, need that. And so you just brought that back in a way that I just treasure. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mona. I'm going to plug in my earbuds here for just a minute so I can hear everybody clearly. So I can't hear you for just a few seconds here.
Sure.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, good. Good.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Mona. I think
Thank you.
Who was next? Nina?
Yeah, thanks, Gail, for these lovely exercises. And I have to say, looking at my own responses, I think in the past, I would have gone to that first level. When you said, look outside, I would have said, well, I see a building and I see whatever. But I've been doing some mindfulness training. So when I looked outside, I already went to 6 and 7 automatically.
Yeah.
Which was really surprising to me because
Yeah.
I was never that intuitive of a person or, somebody who looks kind of inside. But so gratitude came up and all that, looking outside. Isn't that interesting? So, and I think this time of COVID has been an incredible opportunity for us to kind of take a break and really enjoy the calm. And if those of us like you, Gail, who took that opportunity to then do some of that inner work, I think we gained a lot from it. I am so much better off now than I was a year and a half ago when this whole thing started, or about a year ago, because I took the opportunity to do mindfulness training, and it's helped me so much. It helped me grow, and I'm such a better teacher now. So I'm really grateful.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nina. What a wonderful report. Congratulations to you for taking the time and doing that. And I think the stages, some people will jump from one to another, and they're certainly not required, but it's a good way to see, where am I today? There are some days when perhaps I'm not able to concentrate as much, or I feel scattered. And so it is a heroic effort to be at level 1, let alone anything else. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Nina. Valerie?
Yes, I thank you also, Gail, for sharing this process. About 3 years ago, I started this journey of figuring out how I really wanted to feel. And I realized connection, the word connection kept coming up for me. So that was about 3 years ago, obviously way before COVID was ever an issue that we thought about or an impact on our lives. And I thought at first that it was just connection to other people, like deeper connections to other people. And then I realized, as I started going out and walking and really paying attention to what was around me and all of the life that was around me, whether it was in a blade of grass or a squirrel or whatever I happened to be noticing, I felt the connection to nature, and that was so soothing to me. And then it went even deeper, and I found that the more time I spent in nature, the more connected I felt to myself. And that was what I was really seeking, like that time, that awareness of going deeper, seeing beyond the surface, the interactions with people or the interaction with nature. It's how I connected with myself when I purpose to spend time that way. And so I love these steps that you've taken us through, because it's really similar to my journey. I just took 3 years to get there, and you did it in 3 minutes. So.
No, I didn't do it in 3 minutes, but this exercise did it in 3 minutes. Thank you, Valerie. What a wonderful thing to share. I guess what I want to say about this is, and I appreciate what you just said, and that it may start with nature, but you're going to take it to everything else. You know, this connection, this seeing observation underneath the surface is going to impact your relationships with your family members, with your clients, you know, you name it. I mean, this is an observational muscle. It's an observational muscle. And it can also be a reality check on what is really important in my life today. It used to be this, now it's that. And what do I need a course correction here, or am I happy with where I am? So yeah, good. Well, good for you. It's not a quick process but it's an achievable process. I'm certainly a work in progress, and I think that we all are. So yeah, absolutely.
I think if you found this brief experience useful, and Gail is not paying me to say this, you might want to consider getting her book. And Gail, just briefly, could you give us the name of your book and where we can get it?
Yeah, you get it through my website, which is gailkondrick.com. And this is what it looks like.
Walking the Grove.
Walking the Grove. The Grove, to me, was a center point, a destination, and became a sacred place. Mystical things happened to me there. And the mystical that was grounded in the everyday and the ordinary. And so, yes, that's the book.
Okay, and we get it on your website, gailkondrick.com.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
great.
correct.
Anyone else? Patty. All right, welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm so sorry. I'm using my phone and I can't figure out how to type, but I just wanted to thank Gail and you again, because I've been mentored by Gail. She might not realize it, but I've taken her some classes, read her book, and during the past year really began to learn how to use nature as a calming influence and really an appreciation for how life is. And this whole year has taught us so many things, but for me, mostly how to appreciate the life that I've been given and to make use of it, not only for myself, but for others. So thank you, Gail, again.
Thank you,
Patty.
Thank you, Patty.
I'm glad you mastered the muting and unmuting. And
yes.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, this is
Christine.
Thank you for the presentation, Gail and Leslie. Thank you for facilitating again. It was lovely to enjoy what I enjoy all the time and what I am so grateful for. And there's a roseate spoonbill that, as I was looking out the window, that spread its pink wings, flew very, very near that I could enjoy it. But I have, and I'm lucky as an ESFJ in the Myers-Briggs, I kind of live in this world of appreciating and noticing. And it's just amazing, all the leaves and the flowers and the plants and all the creations of nature. But I have a friend here in Sarasota who typically travels the world. And she winters in Sarasota and has another home that she goes to a little bit, but travels the world. And with COVID, she has just walked different neighborhoods of Sarasota and has taken a lot of pictures and put them on Facebook of architecture and plants and birds. And it's just been amazing to see hers, but her world travels are now in Sarasota by foot. She walks about 6 miles maybe a day. But we have so many different neighborhoods. I was on a walking tour yesterday of a neighborhood right across from the which is now YMCA. It's now called Our Y. It's a 1925 neighborhood here in Sarasota, but it's transitioning. Some people are tearing down some of those homes and putting up different kinds of things. And my eyes would have never focused on so many different architectural features of kind of seemingly rather plain everyday houses, except for the guide. And we were safely walking with just 8 people, and a guide in different 20-minute apart groups that were going. But thank you. It was lovely. But my friend that is the world traveler that is just noting Sarasota, and, it's amazing what we have right here. Of course, we're all aware of that, I'm sure, but much more so that you can even imagine if you just take time and focus on different neighborhoods for what you can see. Thank you, Gail. You're a beautiful, beautiful person.
Thank you.
Yes, she sure is.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I have a quick one if you want to, if we still have time. I live in the Meadows, Chandler's Ford, and we've been meeting for almost a year. 6 or 7 couples in the middle of the street, 6 feet apart, with our chairs at 5:30. But during that time, we started to look around because we're in an area where there's so many trees, and the area was formed 35 years ago by an English builder, and a man on our street has lived here since he was one of the first ones. He told us about this architect and how he wouldn't cut down any trees at all while he was building the condos, and he would work around it. So we started to look at the trees, the flowers, the views of the sky. And we have a bird house, a bird feeder by one of the English couples that can't go to England and they can't get back yet. So we've been feeding the birds and watching them for the hour and a half that we sit there, see what birds are coming. So we've noticed those. We've, one couple chopped down some trees so we would have more view of the sky and more views of the trees that are there. So we sit there at 5 o'clock till 6:30 and talk a lot about the nature and the birds and aware of the plants that we have. And as I say, it is a beautiful area because all the trees are here that have been here for years. So I became much more aware of the plants outside of our place, the birds, the squirrels, just because of our gatherings, we call it, every Friday night.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
I see in the chat that Anel wrote, the metaphors that arise from these observations are so inviting. Anel, did you want to say more? That's a very interesting and lovely comment.
It's been interesting. My work with Gail has really been a transformative thing for me for the year. When COVID came, it meant we were inside our house, or at least that's what happened to us. I live in central Louisiana, and it meant no hugging connection to our grandchildren, which is what I realized I missed so much. And so much so that it really sort of took over my life. It was like, okay, when is this going to go away, and when can I get back out and do that? And because Gail was a friend and she had this course, I thought, okay, I'll sign up for it. And I realized within the first 2 weeks that I did finally get outside my house. The house was not, I didn't have to stay inside these walls. I could get out and see the beautiful oak trees and see how the trees were formed based on looking for the sun. The branches moved based on how they could get to the sun. And it just finally made me realize that my grandchildren weren't the only sun in my life. They were something that eventually I was going to get back to. But so the metaphors, I mean, I did all of these steps, but in the process of this and collages and other activities we did in the course, it just took me outside of myself. And it really, it's making Nap these days after vaccination and able to get back with grandchildren even more lovely, and a commitment to not stop being involved with nature and even personifying a lot of the things in nature, so that you're just right there with them and they're here with you. And it really does make a big difference when you get outside of being sorry for yourself and realizing, okay, I'm 75 and I've just lost a year. Okay, well, it was a different year. There were different things that we learned in this year, and this course and this book were a big part of it for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anil.
I actually have, Robin has a question. How might we work on being present with great consciousness? And then I have another question after that.
Okay. Robin's
asking just a wee little question.
Okay.
Yeah, and perhaps I should say more comparatively with greater consciousness, because it came to me that we can be very present, and I know I'm always working on being very present to others, and we've been talking about being present to nature and present to the environment. So one can be present, and it just occurred to me, how can we work on, how might we work on being present with greater consciousness, so that we're consciously present rather than, and even though we're present in nature, there are still things, I think, and I'm speaking personally, that you might take for granted, or I might take for granted. But to stop and to be so conscious of just being in that moment in front of that beautiful tree or that piece of moss. So I just had this lovely awareness as I've been listening to all these different stories. So thank you, for everyone who's opened that up for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Robin. I was going to do a final reading, but I'll wait till after Leslie's question. And some of the things that work, I'll tell you what works for me, and that is that I don't remember things very well. I always think I'm going to remember them, but then they just suddenly just fade. What has worked for me is keeping a journal. And so knowing there's a comfort in it, in that I am transcribing what I saw, the feeling, the emotion, the intuitive hit that I've got in the moment, and I'm writing it down. And on the dry days, and they certainly come because there's a rhythm to all of this, but on those, which is also nature, you're getting in touch with that rhythm, that when that rhythm feels like it's in stasis, that I can go back and I can reread it. So for me, some of the going deeper and holding on comes from writing. I think for other people, it may also come from the photography or transported back somehow into the feelings, emotions, intuition through a visual, either they've created a piece of art. The other thing that happened, as I said, is this started out as a writing course and became an observation course and became a connection course, is that there is I think that nature in many ways is reaching out for us now. Mm-hmm. If we're going to if we're going to live differently in the world, to have more of a consciousness of everything speaking to us, it requires some choices and decisions, yeah, which are difficult. Yeah, so and life-changing. So I for me it's writing, Robin. I can go back, and I can even go back and I can reflect and say, okay, so I've been here before. I've been here before, and I've been there before, and I'm still here. So I know that my creativity, my intelligence, my insights, just like the tides, come and go. but they keep coming. You know, they keep coming. Some of them are a little slower than others. Yeah. Leslie, what was your question?
Well, you psychically went in that direction, because I don't know if this is a detour or not, but I was going to ask you about something you mentioned very early on at the beginning of talking, which is, what is there a different process for when you're writing because you're writing, or when you're writing with the awareness that it's going to be read by the public? Is there a difference in that process for you? And if, are you able to say what that is?
Yes, there is a difference. And of course, we're talking about a nonfiction piece now, not a story that I'm crafting. And so therefore I'm consciously bringing you from place to place. One of my biggest concerns on releasing this, and I did take some things out of it, was saying to the publisher, I don't know if I can stand naked in the wind like this.
Mm.
In that there is, you know, the feelings, the emotions that I hide in social situations are right out there. And so she said, she held my hand, you know, you need, the reason it takes so long to create a book is because you need to give birth to it, and it takes a long time to let it go. But she held my hand through it, and she said, this is the same question that everybody asks. And what you're going to discover is that the people who are attracted to reading this are not going to be the ones who smack you in the face with what you're afraid of.
Right.
They're going to be the people who open up, and they're going to be the people who say to you, and this is about any of you who are writing, they're going to be the people who say to you, you know, I've felt that way and I haven't expressed it, or I've experienced that, but I've never told anybody about it.
Mm.
And that's the one that I get the most. That happened to me. That happened to me, Gail,
Right.
but I've never told anybody, or I'm afraid to tell people.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're going to discover is that there's a whole lot going on under that surface that's coming out for all of us.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Anyone else before we start to wrap up? Well, I think you're leaving us with just a very, at least for me personally, a lovely shift in mood and in energy.
Good.
And I really want to thank you for sharing your work with us. Remind everybody again that they can get your book at your website, gailkondrick.com. And I so appreciate you talking with us today. Thank you, Gail.
Thank you, Leslie.
Round of
Thank you.
applause for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So before we wrap up, I just want to let everybody know that we have another speaker for next month, the third Monday of, I can't believe it, April. Just December. Anyway, third Monday in April, 11:30 as usual. And our guest is going to be, her name is Tandy Pryor, and she works with people on powering up whatever it is that you do, whoever it is that you are, claiming your full power. And one of the ways she does that, and it's not the only way, is she can kind of remotely view your workspace and do a little very high level feng shui with you and make suggestions on how to rearrange your space and your environment so that it really supports you instead of blocking you. So Tandy will be here next month. So I invite you all to join and invite your friends. And with that, I think I'll just thank everybody very much, and I hope to see you next month. Have a great month. Thank you again, Gail.
Thank you. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks
everyone.
for coming. Thank you.